Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 50 of Podcast of Five Rings, your source of enlightenment in the realm of video games, tabletop, anime, film, and tech. Each episode of Podcast of Five Rings releases Monday mornings on iTunes and SoundCloud, and topic by topic, day by day on YouTube, with the full video releasing on Friday. Catch updates about the podcast or for other news, give us a follow on your social media platform of choice, listed in the description below. I'm your host, GM, and overseer of Podcast of Five Rings, Obsidian, joined tonight by the wall that will not fall, Tetsuo. And the resident wildcard, Mao.
Yo.
And Meta's not here, because he has a wedding in, like, a month. he's busy with stuff. So, it's just us three for episode 50. 50 episodes, guys. That feels like a landmark. I think. It's like halfway to 100.
Sure.
That sounds important.
That is, math checks out.
Yeah, we
quick calculations.
let me run this through my algorithms on my computer real quick. Is 50 half of 100? Hold on. It's calculating. All right, yeah, we're good. It's half of 100. We mentioned it. We mentioned when we got to episode 25. I was like, "Hey, we're at 25. That seems like a good number too." So now we're at double that.
Knobs before we started recording that. The reason why I know that we're so far along in just over a year is because last night I celebrated my anniversary, and I remember on episode like 2 or 3 me going, "Hey guys, I had my anniversary with my wife, and we built Gunpla," and it was like my Gunpla episode. Like, the random things you remember sometimes.
But is that what you did for this anniversary? Did you build even more Gunpla? That's what the third anniversary is about, right? It's the Gunpla anniversary.
Is there a
the
plastic anniversary?
This anniversary was actually I think one's supposed to be either China or crystal or something else. Paper maybe? I don't remember.
You get
leather is 3.
Instead watching Deep Space Nine because we've been going through that. We just started season 6, I think.
You're just trying to get inspiration for your game, aren't you?
Partially just because I'm really sad that we don't have like a lot of good sci-fi. Like, I want more good sci-fi, so I have to go back to the old stuff. Plus, so before I started watching this, I had never actually seen a Star Trek, despite my love of sci-fi.
Yeah.
So
I'm not super big into Star Trek. We got more good sci-fi shows than we do fantasy ones.
That is true.
There aren't like hardly any good fantasy TV shows.
There are practically infinitely more sci-fi shows than fantasy.
Maybe like more modern fantasy stuff, but I don't know.
Well, but I mean, I guess for me, Game of Thrones is so high profile. Like,
yeah, but that's
fair enough.
Still relatively new.
It's only one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing will beat Farscape, man. In my eyes.
So good.
I love Farscape. I need to finish it eventually. It was on Hulu at one point, and I just watched it on Hulu, and then it went off, and then it went off
Netflix.
Netflix.
On Netflix for a little bit. Yeah.
I don't think I really ever watched sci-fi. I like playing sci-fi, but I don't like reading or watching sci-fi.
Mal loves his Mass Effect. This is known.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to see the big IW tonight. I literally bought my ticket right before, like half an hour before we started recording.
I'm surprised you had, there was one to buy.
Yeah, well, it was, all there's left is seats in the front row. Like, all the front row seats are available and like 2 or 3 like single seats. And I'm going by myself because my friends and I are going on Sunday morning. So I'll be seeing this movie twice, which I think I've seen. Yeah. I think I went and saw the first Avengers twice as well. And that's like the only movie I've seen twice.
Pre-sales for this movie have outpaced the previous 7 combined.
So,
yeah.
Man,
it's big.
I'm super excited.
I'm ready.
I'm more just like, I know I'm going to accidentally spoil myself by clicking on something or getting on Twitter tomorrow. So I'm not going to deal with it.
On anywhere.
Mal was like, I'm off.
I'm sticking to very
specific places.
Right, like a lot of podcasts and stuff that were recorded way before, like they could have seen it.
Exactly, like this one. So there you go. But all right, well, let's go ahead and get into our topics tonight. And Mal's starting us off, so you go ahead, Mal. What do you got?
Well, I've been playing the latest God of War.
As I have been somewhat.
I've been playing it a lot. I would have beaten it if I hadn't gone home on Tuesday and crashed. Like I'm one session from beating it.
Oh well, how many hours have you put into the game so far? Just to give me
Maybe
a
30.
ballpark. 30? Okay. I
With-
think a lot of people were saying like 40-ish.
Yeah, and I've kind of I haven't really done a lot of the side quest stuff, especially towards what you can do later in the game. But I did find out you can go back and do all that stuff after you beat the story, basically.
Gotcha.
So yeah, this came out on April 20th, and is the fourth installment in the the fourth main installment.
It
or
is the
whatever,
soft
in the God of War
reboot,
series.
in a word.
Yeah, soft
Judging
reboot.
judging by the title, but yes, it's still basically God of War 4 because it takes place chronologically after 3.
Yeah, some unknown amount of apparently the 8th game in the series. I did not realize there were that many non-main titles.
Yeah, there were a bunch of PSP ones if I remember correctly.
Yeah. But yeah, this game you are Kratos once again, but you now have a small boy.
Boy.
Yes. Boy.
Must be said that way.
You are not ready,
well,
boy.
It's already a meme of its own.
Yeah. It's evolved past memedom. It's become ubiquitous.
Yeah. It's action adventure. It's not exactly open world. It's more of like hub and spoke style, where you have a hub area with you can go down spokes that aren't as open. Is kind of how I thought, or it seems.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's
the way
where
that
I
Demon's
am right
Souls
now.
was?
Is the spoke?
Yeah,
hub,
they kind of said, or I think they've said they took specifically inspiration from Bloodborne and with a hub area. But yeah, and the and the same thing with some of their level design, because you'll open up shortcuts and stuff as you explore.
Mm-hmm.
This time, so you're in the Scandinavia world or whatever, because now you've got Norse mythology stuff happening around you.
Yep.
Yeah, you're dad of war now. The journey to spread your wife's wife, I guess, or the mother of your boy.
Yeah.
I don't know if they said they were married.
Yeah.
Her ashes on the highest point or whatever. So you're going to a mountain,
Which is a great setup to the game, in my opinion.
Yes, it works really well in that it's not it's an important mission, but it's not super time
It's personal.
sensitive.
It's a personal mission.
Right.
It's not not to say that his quest for vengeance before wasn't personal.
Right.
He had reason to want to kill Ares and stuff. But this is more like a low-key personal. He's just like, all right, Atreus's mother is dead. We've burnt her. This is not really spoilers. This happens in the first 5 minutes of the game. We burnt her. We have to take her ashes up on top of this mountain where she wanted to be spread. Her ashes spread, and that's the whole catalyst for stuff. Basically, the plot of the game.
Yeah,
It lets you
and
know
it
right off
works-
the bat what kind of story it's going to tell. A more personal one.
And mechanically, it's also it gives you an excuse why you can just go off and do side quests too. But it's a lot. I've never played any God of War game, actually. This is my first.
I played the first two.
I've seen people play parts of others, and I've read through the synopsis, so I know the legends of Kratos basically. And to my understanding, there's not much character before. Character growth and whatnot is not really a thing in the previous ones as much.
Mm-hmm.
This one's a lot more of a character-driven story.
The story in the first game, it was just it's almost reverse, because we have a fun arcadey kind of gameplay. What story would suit this gameplay? Whereas this is more like what kind of gameplay would suit the story for God of War 4.
Yeah, and this one, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, it's very cinematic. The camera never leaves Kratos. That was actually something the director had to sell people on working on it. like it never, like the camera is always on Kratos. It never cuts away.
I didn't even notice that so far.
Yeah. He never, like, as part of the actual gameplay, like it never like shoots, like looks somewhere else and then comes back or whatever. Kratos is always in the shot. And you have a companion now. Those are like the two big parts of the game that almost didn't happen, I guess. Basically, the director had to like fight for both of those things.
Yeah, I've got my theories on why that's so important to him, but
well, they tried. He ended up having like to do like his due diligence. He like went through and like this like figured out what the game would be without Atreus. And like it would be, for one, there would be like no dialogue in the game. He said there would have been like 10 lines in the whole game or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so because Atreus ends up being a lot of things, but he makes a good audience stand-in for asking questions, like, you know, like so that there's someone like to rebound off of, even, and like figure out like what's going on, or, you know, explaining the lore and stuff even.
I think the best part about him is that he isn't like an escort mission the whole game. He doesn't take damage. You don't have to worry about it. They kind of integrate him into the gameplay very well as well.
Very helpful.
Yeah,
like,
he'll like jump on enemies and stun them a little bit. You can have him shoot at locations on some of the monsters.
He ends up being quite like good for crowd control and stuff as you unlock more stuff in the game. You can use him to just like there's a when you find they added like RPG elements to it.
You get XP.
Yeah, pretty cool.
You buy skills,
skill trees, like your
stuff
has stats. It's I mean, it's been, I don't know. It's, some people don't like it, but I think mostly people seem to be on board.
I like that stuff.
Right. No shock that we like RPG elements.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
But in the skill tree, you can see like he has 2 arrow skills locked, and they're both story unlocks. And then like as you unlock those, he gets like just so much more useful.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna dump my XP into, because I just unlocked the first one for him.
Oh yeah, I am so close to the end. I have every tree filled. And I have not done a lot of like grinding either, which is nice.
Okay, well, that's
good. I haven't
good.
really done any. Like I haven't done
good.
any.
I've done a few of
like,
the side quests.
Side quest stuff. I did some at the start, like so there's not very many NPCs in this game, but the ones that are there, I
like the dwarves.
Yeah, I like them a lot. And that's like the main side quests are all through the NPCs, and then they've got little ones like they've got labors, which I assume is a reference to like the labors of Hercules or whatever.
Yeah.
But which is like, you know, kill so many enemies this way or this type or whatever.
Hunts, basically.
But like the actual side quests are like NPC focused, and they're, I think, really well done.
Yeah, I haven't got to do too many of them. Go on, Tets. Sorry.
I was gonna say that the labors, they're more like your in-game achievements that a lot of games
have
sort of
like
it's like filling the
XP
bestiary and stuff.
Yeah,
there's like lore stuff that you can find that'll.
Yeah, there are quite a bit of like collectibles. Not like Ubisoft level, I would say.
No, it's not, because it's not an open world really either.
Right, not as open world or whatever. The most I think is there's one in particular that's like do this thing 51 times or whatever. That's the highest number.
Kill Odin's ravens.
Yes. But yeah, so I quite like the story myself. I am super into Norse mythology. I kind of hate Greek mythology. At least it's my like least favorite.
Of all most of the pantheons, basically. Yeah.
It just kind of like you kind of see it everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
You like at least more than any others. Though I was wondering, do you think which one's second? Is it Norse or Egyptian?
Norse or Egyptian? Like that was gonna be my answer.
Like I think it's Egyptian at this point. Like we still haven't had a lot of. Norse.
Honestly, I think I would say Norse.
Like with like the mummy movies and stuff, like being in pop culture. I'm just saying.
But that's not even a lot of them. Gods of Egypt is the most like touching on
right, but I mean,
lore.
what is there in Norse?
Honestly,
like
I
what
would,
in pop
I would say
culture?
Norse
Thor,
only because
the Thor movies,
it's
basically.
more...
I mean, that's barely any.
Yeah, it's mostly comics and stuff.
Right.
It's not as ubiquitous as
you've probably
Greek.
seen more Egypt stuff.
Greek and Roman are the biggest.
Yeah, obviously. But yeah, I think all of the characters I've seen, they all seem well written. What is his name? Christopher Judge is the new voice actor for Kratos because they needed someone
Yeah,
who
he's
was
great.
his size basically for motion capture because of like how they wanted to they really wanted it to because it's all story driven, so they didn't want to like have someone record and someone else act or whatever, like do the movements and stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking of sci-fi, isn't he the one that was in
he's in Stargate?
Yeah.
He is really good at emoting with very few words.
Yeah. Boy.
Like I mean, mostly Kratos comes across as someone who's still very angry, though probably not to the levels of original God of War.
No, he's not.
But he definitely can show emotion, like
he's
in
more the
subtle
silent
ways.
and stoic, like anger.
Yeah. In the game, he comes across as very like pragmatic and keen. Probably, a lot more
he's super pragmatic
than,
in this game.
He's probably a lot more savvy than you would think on things. But yeah, very pragmatic.
He's a Tets, basically.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, he's always like, don't like help people. They are always like trying to like turn their back on you or use you in some way. You got to focus on what you need to accomplish.
Right.
Stuff like that. So
same old Kratos.
Yeah, but less like. I would argue like first Kratos is more like a Matsu probably in his anger levels, and this is more like heat anger. Not like Berserker rage. I mean, he has those moments.
Yeah, he still has like his Spartan rage.
Exactly.
Well, and I was gonna say because like the God of War 3 Kratos was than the God of War 1 Kratos and the way his anger was. Well, again, because Ares was dead by the end of 1.
Yeah.
But I would say he gets definitely more Hida Berserker than Matsu Berserker by the end of God of War 3, so...
Yeah. So, Mao is more high on this game than I am. I love, like, playing the game. It's basically like, it plays like as not as good a version of Bloodborne.
I can see that. Like,
you have, like, your heavy and light attack.
Yeah.
You just don't have, like, all the different weapons. Dodging isn't, like, as tight as it is in those games. And they're obviously... I drew some inspiration from the Soulsborne.
I don't think they're trying to be Bloodborne combat, though.
No, they're not. They're trying to be a little bit more arcadey, but it's that same kind of, like, third-person feel.
Yeah.
So it borrows some from it.
Like, it's got a lot more, like, skills and stuff. Like,
yeah.
Like, it doesn't have the combos of the first...
And you can throw your axe. Throwing your axe is the best part, in my opinion.
I don't know how they made
feels
that
satisfying.
Axe feel so good.
It's the rumble in the controller when you catch it. It feels good.
And just like I love throwing that axe and calling it back to me.
Yeah,
it's so good.
That's mostly what I do when I fight. Honestly, I just stand back and like throw the axe for a little bit just because it's so much fun. But try to headshot people with it.
Honestly, though, combat in the game does take a little bit to get going. The early parts is kind of meh. Honestly, like the later as you go in the game, just the better it gets.
Okay. Yeah, maybe more enemy variety and stuff. Helps
that is probably one of my things I don't like about it so much is that I wish there was more enemy variety.
Yeah. You will get in like an area and you'll fight basically, I mean, Mao's way farther ahead than I am, so I can't really say a lot, but you will fight like almost like the same type of enemy for a good bit. And you'll get like some sprinkled in like new types every once in a while.
I mean, it's not like extreme diversity or whatever. Like, I mean, I'm just trying to think of how many there are, but I don't know. It's not like as bad as some games that I've seen.
Oh yeah, for
sure. It could be better.
So, but yeah, I think like the actual fighting and stuff is pretty fun.
Yeah, I think it's. Yeah, I have a blast with the fighting.
It's solid combat.
I mean,
I'm playing on normal difficulty, and
So am I.
I die sometimes too. It's pretty hard
I
sometimes.
usually, yeah, I've died, especially earlier on. I died more, I think, and it's always against like mobs.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I've ever died to a boss.
Yeah, I don't. There's been one boss fight that I've enjoyed so far, and it's the first one.
Yeah, well, that thing is cinematic as hell.
Yeah, the other ones,
Like-
it's basically a superhero fight. The other ones are not as good, in my opinion. But again, I've only played like against a few of them. There's like the trolls; those are more like mini bosses, though. Honestly,
Yeah,
and
the
like
trolls
the
aren't
soul
really what I would
eaters, is that
consider
what they
a
call
boss.
them?
Yeah,
The ones who open up
those
their
are
chest.
boss gas.
Yeah. But my more problems with the game, and I'm like a meh on the game, is the pacing of the game to me so far. Like I was pretty much I played a lot of the game on Friday when it came out, and then like it's been harder and harder for me to get back into it every time. And I've only played it for like maybe an hour or an hour and a half every time I started playing it again. Like the pacing is not like super good, in my opinion.
I think the pacing's great.
Yeah, it's just. I know the game is trying. It feels like it's trying so hard to be the other very successful PlayStation games, which is the worries I had going into the game.
I don't think that's true.
It feels like a Naughty Dog game to me, the way it's trying to tell the story.
I mean, I don't play a ton of Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
games,
You probably don't have a lot to reference, but just like the way like it narrates
I have
at
seen
you.
some people talk about that online, and they don't like.
It narrates at you a lot. You're doing a lot of walking around without fighting, and you're just pushing X like to get through the dialogue as you like walk around. Lots of exposition heavy scenes. I don't really like Atreus that much, to be honest with you. Like maybe he gets cooler down the road, but he seems like really annoying to me right now.
I mean, he feels like an actual kid to me.
Yeah, he is. He's constantly like, "Oh wow, look at this stuff," and like saying annoying stuff. it's just like pet peeve bugs me a little bit. And though I do like how he's integrated in the combat, it's just more like the character end of him for me. And the platforming is not good in the game, in my opinion.
No,
it's Uncharted platforming. It's like
the
button
only thing
prompts. Go on, Mal. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I wish it was a little quicker on some of the climb stuff, and I could leap to an area I wasn't directly looking at.
Yeah, that's even more annoying. But like, it's the illusion of gameplay is what that stuff is. It's you're pushing a button to do the thing instead of like integrating it better into the gameplay, being like more like about where you can climb, how you can climb, what can you get to. It's more just Breath of the Wild is spoiling me on a lot of this crap because I can't climb everywhere anymore. I can only climb everywhere in that one freaking game. But if you're just like holding up and then it's 0 to jump over there or circle to jump over there, and you can't fail as long as you just push the button while the button prompt is on the screen. It's more interesting if like you can't make the jump necessarily at like you have to like make a running start and leap.
I mean,
stuff.
there are puzzles and stuff to like open up areas and whatnot.
Oh, the puzzles are fine. I'm fine with the puzzles and stuff. It's more like the platforming, like the climbing and the jumping.
I mean, sometimes you have to like push something into a place so you can get somewhere.
Yeah, and that's fine. But if I'm jumping around in a game, I want to actually be jumping or actually climbing, not just like going through a tunnel till I get to the point where it says push the button, or putting the block here and saying, okay, now you can go through the tunnel. Like, and the level design also just isn't like very good in my opinion, but I've seen worse. So, I mean,
I don't know. I usually feel like if I'm climbing, it's to, get to a different part of the level, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But there can either be like a puzzle involved or like a way to coordinate off a puzzle, like specifically, or there's like a hidden chest or something to get to.
Yeah, and that stuff's fine. It's just the button prompts more than anything, I guess. It's It's like, why even have them at that point? What service does the button prompt serve? I should just be able to, at that point, just hold right and you just take me along for the ride at that point.
Fair.
Or have it be a cutscene or something.
But, yeah, it didn't bother me.
That stuff is just more like my peppy. I understand that doesn't bother a lot of people. A lot of people love Uncharted games. In this game, judging by like how much positive buzz it's gotten. But that's always stuff that like nitpicks me.
Yeah, I like how they I like a lot of this game, honestly.
I'm just waiting for the story to ramp up. I'm hoping it does. Cause at first I'm like, yeah, and you do that first boss fight and I'm like, yeah, and then it like goes down and it like starts slowly going up and plateaus a little bit. I'm on like a plateau. I want it to like start escalating. I want to do some more stuff with the Norse gods and stuff like that.
I see. Yeah, you'll get there. I like.
And I think I will. It's
Norse
just about
stuff.
getting there.
Yeah, I like I like what they've done with Norse mythology and incorporating a lot of stuff. Like you eventually unlock a source of information that I think is very like cleverly done. Like I can't really give it away, but it's just very good, and then it just unlocks another source of like explaining the like stories of Norse mythology, because there's like you can find these I can't remember what they're called, triptychs, I think. They're like
we're talking about like the cabinet things.
Yeah, you open them and it's like some lore about the giants from Jotunheim. And then later you get
like
a
Thor
thing,
and the serpent and stuff.
Yeah, and later you get like something that will expand upon those. That it'll go back and like expand on the whole story that you've already found. And then like you've got Dwarven brothers.
Yeah, the brothers are cool. They're my favorite characters so far. My least favorite is the Wicked Witch of Exposition.
I actually like her.
Maybe she gets better, but so far she's just shown up and gave me exposition. Yeah.
I like Norse cosmology or whatever, like in general.
I do too.
Multi realms and stuff. And then I also like, from a metaphysics standpoint, with when you have multiple mythologies that are true, like because you have the Greek mythology.
It's cool.
And then now it's Norse. Like usually it's an urban fantasy though, like the Iron Druid Chronicles or American Gods, kind of. They're not exactly real. They're more belief given life or whatever. Or like the Alchemist Young Adults series. I've just always liked that sort of thing where you get multiple mythologies mixing.
Yeah, it's cool to see how they interact and stuff. This is also a very Tets game as well.
I'm sure it probably is.
This is for me like the more fun to play version of Horizon Zero Dawn, in my opinion. That is a more Tets game, but this is also a Tets game that I feel like Tets would enjoy eventually.
I love the God of War games. So one of the things I love about the game, but you guys haven't touched on it, and I haven't looked into it at all. Did they take away the QuickTime events?
Yes.
I loved that about the series. I really.
So yeah, I mean, it's kind of the series that made them a thing.
Yeah.
Which I think it's a very interesting choice to basically have none of them.
Yeah. You'll still have like button prompt stuff every once in a while. Like you'll have to like mash stuff, but it's not like a fail or not fail thing.
Well, yeah. You'll like end up taking more damage or something.
Yeah.
They still have made cinematic fights without needing QuickTime events, though.
Yeah, well, the reason why I liked them was because you felt like you were testing your own reflexes, and by testing your own reflexes and having the adrenaline based off of your own reflex reactions, to me it felt like it pulled you into that moment a little bit more. And so that's the only reson why I kind of...
I can see that.
I'm sure
you can up the difficulty, and then you'll need a lot better reflexes for the fights.
Yeah.
Like, apparently pairing becomes a lot more important at higher difficulty.
And I'm sure it's fine, it's just... I'm one of those gamers that doesn't mind QuickTime events, and kind of wishes to see them more in games, so...
But yeah, so I give it a meh. I want to like it, and I hope it gets better. but it's not really super impressing me right now.
See, this is like the only game in a long time that I can think of where I've had to stop whatever else I had on because I want to know more about the story and whatnot, and like the stories that they're telling, like in the downtime even. It's probably actually my favorite Western release since like Dishonored in 2012.
Oh wow, nice. So big marks from out there.
Yeah, I am quite fond of it.
Yeah, I just gotta keep grinding through it. Basically, I'm probably not gonna play it again until this weekend. So
I think the only other thing I'd really like it if it used its soundtrack a bit more.
Yeah,
like it has some very good pieces, but sometimes just I don't even notice it, like in the downtime, I guess.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time when you're running around and exploring, you don't even get music. Honestly,
yeah, I can't.
Which
think
is
of
fine.
But like, I mean, when like the story's like happening and stuff, it's got some really good. It uses what it does use well.
So yeah, I think we've about covered most of the bases on it without spoiling anything major.
Right.
So yeah,
and there are some major things to spoil.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Which I've been avoiding them too. So
well, just there's a certain way they've done things that is just very interesting in today's age, and that's all I will say, I guess.
I want to talk to you about the game after we both beaten it eventually. So it just might take me a lot longer to get there. Final Fantasy 14
there's a good chance I may.
There is a good chance. I think that this is holding my interest enough to where I'll keep playing it.
Just do the story then. Like, don't.
That's what I'm doing. That's what I decide I'm going to do. It just has to like pick up the pacing a little bit for me. And hopefully it does. I like where they're going with it so far.
Yeah,
that I'm seeing.
I mean, I think it does pick up.
It's just got to hook me. It has a hook. The first part like hooks me, but then I got loose. I wiggled out. I'm like that slimy little fish that just gets away, breaks your line.
I do think the story picks up after the area you're in.
That's good to hear.
A bit, at least, yeah. Like, there's a whole thing that happens.
I thought it was going to, because the Witch of Exposition gives you an exposition on why you need to do what I'm doing at that point in the game. And then she kind of like goes away. I'm like, okay, maybe she won't show up again for a little bit, and I can just keep, like, I go the next place, and then the next one, and then the next one, and they'll, like, keep going. Which, do you get what I'm going at? Does that happen a little bit?
I don't think it happens the way you're thinking it's gonna happen, but...
Gotcha. Well,
yeah, so...
Maybe it does. And, Tets went AFK, and he's up next, so we're gonna stall a little bit and talk about some more code.
Sorry, I'm back.
Okay, you're back. Alright.
Just in road time.
Then let's go to Tets, then. What do you got for us tonight?
On to you. No, I'm kidding.
See ya, guys. I'm out of here.
So, everybody who's been listening knows the last few times I've been talking about things that have been coming from my campaign with Stars Without Number, which still hasn't actually started yet.
You're just using us to brainstorm stuff. That's all you're doing. We're just your, like, GM toolkit.
Well, and we really would have started by now if it wasn't for the fact that this is all going to be people I've never met. It's my buddy's like group of friends, which is fine. It's just I have no contact with them, so he's the one that has to get all the scheduling together when everybody can get together. And there's like 9 of us, so
that's a lot of people to play.
We have an idea for it. It's supposed to be rotationary, but at the same time, I think everybody wants to play regularly, so I have ideas, but I don't know. But anyway,
GMs.
One of the ideas, and I think I mentioned before too, the idea was that we could like rotate out GMs and systems, and so do is just not the norm, but not going too far off the rails, I guess, to kind of incorporate this many people. And one of the things that we're looking at considering, well, specifically myself, because I'll be the main GM. And I was curious what your guys' opinions on is non-standard ways of gaining experience and leveling up. And when I say experience, I don't necessarily mean XP in and of itself. But just
Character progression.
exactly like
Well, how does it work in a Stars Without Numbers first?
Stars Without Number does have, at least in the revised. So there's a difference between the amount of points you get in the original and the revised, but it's pretty synonymous with each other.
Is it like
enough
point
to,
buy? Is it like D&D XP? You have levels?
So both. As you gain experience points, you level up. You gain so many skill points, and you then allocate those skill points. And then in the revised edition, you get what's called foci, which essentially are, think a cross between, using D&D terms, class abilities and feats. If you were to combine both of them, that's kind of what foci are. That's the biggest thing that differentiates your characters. Now there are classes, but the biggest thing that differentiates each individual character is the what foci they decide to take. And some of them you have to be certain, like any of the psychic foci, you have to obviously be a psyker. Some of them just doesn't make sense to take, but other ones, like you can totally build a skill monkey that's dedicated to blowing people's heads off with execution sniper attacks.
But so yeah, that's how you build your character. How do you like get the experience?
Yeah, so when you're gaining experience, because that's the way they do it, they treat it by giving you when you level up, and you can spend those on increasing your attributes and stuff like that. But the way that it recommends core in the book, in and of itself, it's supposed to be like a little more lethal in the same way that L5R can be more lethal. Not that it's shy away from combat, because combat is so, like, if you start combat, you're definitely going to die. But at the same time, a laser rifle is a laser rifle, and if you get shot by a laser rifle, well, hurt. So they don't really give out experience based off of the main way that it advocates is just at the end of each session or at the end of each like story arc, giving out a set amount of XP based off of how fast you want your game to ramp up. But it actually offers a few non-standard ways of doing it, and this is kind of where I was what got me thinking about this, because one of the ways that it offers it is credit gain or gold gain or whatever your system is using, Koku, whatever monetary system your game uses, based off of how much money your character has obtained. That then translates, like, once you hit this much, you are now level 2, you reach this much, now you're level 3, etc., etc. Which I thought was really interesting, especially in a sci-fi game where I feel like a lot of people who gravitate towards Stars Without Number are wanting to be the whole Firefly, ragtag group of people in a space ship and the adventures they get in along the way. So it works in that situation. But I don't know if you're wanting to do more like an exploratory sci-fi game that it necessarily works. And in that case, one of the other options they present, and this is the one we're actually looking at using, is a goal progression system. So each player comes up with a few goals for their characters, and they can be huge ones, they can be small ones, they can be in between. And based off of how large that goal is, how hard that goal is to obtain, the GM will give points as either the goal gets completed or steps to that goal get completed, based off of how impactful and how hard it was to accomplish that goal. It may be, I want to make so much money to be able to buy a new ship. That could be a goal to go for. Or I want to be able to dungeon and defeat the dragon that lives at the bottom of the dungeon.
Yeah.
So it's a way to let your characters be a lot more individual and really tie in their characters to the world. But it is if the player sets their goals way too high, especially if they're level 1 and their goals are like, bring down the Stellar Empire, defeat the Dark Lord of the Sith, it's like, well, you're probably not going to get very far past level 1 if those are the goals you're writing down. Baby
Especially
steps.
for going at them right away.
Exactly. I do like that idea. Like, to me, that sounds really cool. And then again, based off of how big it is and how whatever your leveling structure is, you can give things out. Um, I was curious, like thinking about alternative ways to do experience, and I was curious if you guys had any experience with the type of stuff. If there's any that you saw that you enjoyed, or if you just had thoughts in general about it. If you think it's stupid.
You want to go first, Mel?
Sure. Honestly, I think I'm just an advocate for just story based leveling. Like it just keep because it keeps everyone on the same level without like having a lot to like any one particular person managing certain things, or like in the
like
case of
misses a
like goal
game.
based, like you need the DM like to like judge in on that sort of thing for like 8 different people. With like story based leveling, you get to dictate at what like your story, like what kind of, it's easier to like track like what kind of stuff you can throw at people even.
Yeah, it's easier to see what the players want to play and that sort of a thing.
Yeah. So yeah, just like whenever the story you think it's time for them to level, and that's when you decide to. This is what Critical Role actually. First campaign was XP based, and now they've switched to arc based or whatever, or story. However you want to describe it. And yeah, Matt Mercer said it took a lot of effort off of him because he had a spreadsheet, like for each character, because he was awarding it like based on what they did if they were there and like what they did specifically even. It was very granular apparently, but yeah, and now it's just arc based, and I think that's just how I would like to do it personally.
I mean, it's the simplest way.
Yeah,
from a GMing aspect.
As a GM, I really don't like the whole. Okay, you defeated 6 orcs and 3 kobolds. That's this plus this, and then split it by. Like, I don't know. It feels so.
I still didn't hear any of that.
I heard it.
What's it? Sorry.
He's saying he didn't mind, or he doesn't really like the adding up XP per monster.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably just a relic of the times, but I can kind of like, I can see it's similar to the second one you mentioned in particular, like goal-based stuff. It's like you kind of getting rewarded for what your particular like character goals or something, or what your character has done necessarily. Though, I mean, if you're playing an actual like a game with story and stuff in it, like hopefully you're all participating towards the story, so you all feel accomplished by the time you get to level up.
Yeah.
As far as the money one you mentioned, it kind of sounds similar. Like you could just use that as an excuse for the for like story-based leveling up as well. Like get a big payday and you level up basically. If that's if that's how your story dictates it, right? Like if you're trying to pull off a big job, right?
And I think that's the thing. Like, I would only use that leveling system if my players were in the game specifically to amass wealth. Like,
right.
I don't know if that would be good in a game where it's like magical items. Well,
yeah, in a game where you're just kind of doing a bunch of smaller jobs, it just it's XP at that point.
And it did also offer an alternative to that, where it's not just the money you gain, but money spent, which I thought was interesting, because then it encourages a character lifestyle. And again, if that's what the GM's going for, I could see that being really cool if you were doing like your big bad is some like demon of decadence, of pleasure, and so like the more the characters level up, the more they're inversely like powering up their enemy as well. But I don't know that I would really I can't really think of any other way to justify using the expenditure of gold as XP.
Right.
Yeah, it's tough at that point. It just depends on the system and what all you can get for it and stuff, I guess.
Yeah. I think mostly, regardless of how it's done, I think it's just keeping everyone on the same level ends up I think is just the most fair. I mean, it depends on your group. Some people don't mind being,
Yeah.
having
I know a lot of
asymmetrical leveling, but
I know a lot of the OSR stuff. They're like you level because even original Stars Without Number to level from level 1 to level 2, the amount of experience that was needed was different for the warrior than it was from the expert than it was for the psyker.
Yeah, it sounds like. I mean, I think it sounded like the original Stars Without Numbers was basically a 2e or 2d
Yeah, that's what I
or
was about to
2e
say.
skin or whatever.
It was OSR,
it's just a hold
was
up.
RSR.
Yeah, it's just a whole holdover from second edition D&D.
He did specifically write the original with old style gaming in mind, trying to keep that. And as he wrote this revised edition, he was trying to bring it more modern while still holding on to a lot of the key things of the old school gaming that people enjoyed.
Yeah.
Players that don't like that.
Yeah. So, my gaming group has actually experimented with a lot of different stuff like this. Got one buddy actually designing his own game that is trying to do a lot of weird different stuff with character progression. But one of my favorite things that we did for a 4th edition D&D game, this wasn't me running, it was my buddy. Everybody had like a different type of goal. It could be tied to like a powerful magic item, or I don't know. It's like some kind of like awakening, like some kind of power, or like making this ally or something. And that in and of itself gave like a reward outside of the game, and like weird XP stuff, and like powers that no one else would like get access to. It was kind of like an interesting take on non-linear, or I guess non-traditional XP. I don't mind either or. Like as far as like the D&D case of XP goes, like I've never been in a big enough game where it's been a hassle to like add up all the XP and stuff. And when I DM D&D, I do both. I'll always give out the monster XP and like trap XP. I'll sometimes give out that you completed like a big story arc XP. Sometimes I'll just level the group up if I think like it suits the narrative. I'll mix and match with D&D. And L5R and other kind of like point buy games, the books a lot of the time will suggest like how long was the session? Will you get this much XP for this, or was it like did they fight a particularly difficult encounter? Did they complete like a huge story objective? So on and so forth. In our Third Day of Thunder game, we did basically XP was almost, if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, Tets. XP was like time based, depending on the days and the in-game days or the act. I can't remember exactly, but we also had missions. Yeah, I think it was based off the act, but we also had missions, and depending on what you accomplish in the mission, you would get more or less XP. Like there was almost like side quests in a way. I use side quests in quotations, but like alternate objectives or goals like that are hidden at first, and maybe you have to make a skill roll to reveal them, and you can get extra XP from that, or they come along as the mission progressed. So I've experimented with like a few different ways to like non-traditionally handle XP. My buddy who's designing a system, I think he's kind of taking inspiration from some of the old D&D stuff where you can like put your experience into items and craft like really cool artifacts for his game. Is like an alternate way to do it. He also wants to have quests and almost like skill tree kind of stuff too. It's just he hasn't exactly figured out how he wants to implement it on top of like having a point buy XP system that he's doing in his game. So I don't know. There's like different ways. We've always mixed and matched in all the games we played, and it just depends on the group and what everybody likes. Some people probably like to completely derail a D&D game and go fight giants or trolls because they're not that deadly, but they give you a ton of XP or something, which is almost metagaming. I mean, it pretty much is at that point, but still. Some people like doing that, and if that's the group you have that you want to run the game for that group, then maybe you should do that. I mean, so I don't. It just depends on your group and what all you like. I think I like both ways. I'm not particularly biased towards either or. I think the narrative one probably like makes a little bit more sense and is easier for a GM, so it's probably the better way to do it. But
yeah, mostly for me, it comes down to trying to keep everyone on the same level.
Yeah, which is also tough.
Because it's not exactly super fun to have like to be super far behind everyone else.
I actually like that in D&D. If my character dies, and like they're like level 5, I make a level 1 guy. I'm just like trying to survive at that point and soak off the good XP from the big monsters they're fighting. It's kind of funny.
I think for me, like my big thing is seeing what people like to do and seeing what because as Mal says, like it really isn't fun like if you're making a character at level 1 because you died at level 10. Like 1 to 5, that's maybe more so, but 1 to 10.
Oh yeah.
Well, no, I mean level 1, no matter, or like in D&D sense, level 1 is awful no matter how you cut it.
I do one thing.
Some people may enjoy that type of thing, so it's seeing what the table wants. I feel like
sure. I'm just saying, like, just in regards to being level 1, it's like because level 1 to 2 is like a 50%, like over a 50% jump, basically. So like in lethality.
Yeah, which is why I like the L5. Well, they kind of like don't really mention the rule, but in first edition there was the karma rule, where if your character died like an honorable, glorious death, you got to make your next character with all the XP that character had. If you were a scumbag, you started at 30 again.
But then you get into like punishing certain play styles.
Exactly. So I mean,
but again, like I think that's one of the things that just approaching the table at the beginning of a game and seeing what people are expecting.
I mean, that comes down to everything regarding RPG games, really. Like, do you want this character? Do you want it to be a lethal game or not very lethal? Like very silly or mature. Always talk to your group.
Yeah,
I will remember the one time I was playing Don't Rest Your Head, and I was intending a very serious game of it, and I had a buddy who like made like the most like all of his powers he got in the game were all based around silly, goofy things, and it was just like totally.
He had ghost sound and prestidigitation. You can do a lot with those 3 cantrips.
Always, it turns out in all things, communication is important.
Yeah, that's probably like the number one thing to learn before you ever GM a game. Know your players and know what they like, and be open with them about what kind of game.
Really, basically everything.
Yeah, it translates to all corners of life.
Right.
Yeah. So do whatever you
manage
think is best. Talk to your group. See what they want to do.
And we're gonna approach them. We have some ideas. I really think this particular group is gonna go for the goals, if only because
I mean, if it's a lot of newer people, sometimes you have to make the call yourself too.
But I mean, like the thing about Stars Without Number 2 is that it's created first and foremost as a sandbox game, and so I feel like when you give the players like goals, not only does it help with leveling, but in this case it also helps them feel like they're not just sitting in a ship with the whole of space before them and what do we do now, you know what I mean? Like,
the only trouble I could see with that, especially with that many people, is like when goals don't align.
And again, I think that's a matter of when we do have our full session 0, because I'm a big advocate now of having session 0s now that I've gotten into that habit, but sitting down with people and saying, part of that session 0 would be, what are your goals? And you guys can have opposite goals, just recognize that case we're going to capitalize on the character drama, and that's going to be like a driving point of the story, not a division between players, if that makes sense in the differentiation.
Yep, you just gotta talk to him up front about it.
We'll see. As I said, like, none of these people are people I've met before, so I may be throwing all of this out the window. We'll see.
That's the fun of GMing, man.
Oh.
When do you throw the baby and the bathwater out? It's all about that moment. All right, we'll get on to my topic, which was probably going to be short, not so serious, pretty goofy. Probably going to mention a lot of goofy stuff here. So Rampage came out recently, movie based off a video game, the classic beat 'em up, smash buildings as giant kaiju monsters game. It's got The Rock in it. It's not doing. I mean, it's making a lot of money, but the reviews are not super good, and video game movies have a certain stigma about not ever being really good.
I mean, you say reviews are not very good, but it is the most positively reviewed movie, basically, for any video game movie.
So, but overall, it's still not like great. It's a 51% on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
Yes, I believe so.
So I want to talk to you guys about what some of you... Tet's is choking on a fly. It flew into his mouth earlier.
It did.
So what is some of your favorite video game movies, I guess? I'm sure mine are all more guilty pleasures, I guess, than anything. We've talked about guilty pleasures.
I don't think any of them... I don't think I would consider any video game movie good. Like...
There is one.
Well made,
I think my answer...
I guess.
And pick Pokemon. So I'm going to choose Final Fantasy VII Advent Children.
I don't think that's even good, though.
No. It's pretty.
It is pretty.
Exactly. That's all a movie needs, is to be pretty.
I mean, I love the Mario Brother movie. As someone who's never
like
really even played
guy.
Mario, like it's something about it. I mean, it's something from my childhood, basically, more so than any other video game movie, I think.
I haven't seen that movie in so long.
Yeah, me either. But I remember liking it.
It's got the Goombas. They don't look like Goombas in the game.
Nope.
Yoshi is horrifying.
Yeah, they took the names of things and that was it.
Yeah, that's basically about it. Mario and Luigi wear their colors.
Right.
That's about it.
And then I've always enjoyed the Resident Evil movies, though I have not seen the last one. But I did see all the others.
Those were really good.
I wouldn't call them good. They're like schlocky. They're entertaining.
Yes. They're like the kind of quote-unquote horror I like to watch.
Which is the goofy horror. Right?
They're good in the sense that they are the kind of movie that I would be okay to return to. Beyond just, I'm going to sit down and watch it with my buddies and make fun of it. Mystery Science Theater.
That's what we did. But they are competently made. They're made by people who know how to make a movie.
Exactly. And part of it for me, too, was early on in our gaming career, we used to... background and put shows on, and oftentimes one of our friends that we used to play with a lot, he would have Resident Evil playing in the background, so I may also have an association to make it more positive with gaming.
I always remember the terrible sci-fi movies in those regards, like killing the giant rock monster with the rocket launcher.
There were some great ones, like Dynamite Kid. Oh my goodness, that was good.
But are there any other even video game movies I would even want to watch?
Mine is Mortal Kombat, which I loved as a kid. I've watched it so many times.
I remember watching it as a kid, but I don't remember particularly enjoying it.
I don't remember the second one at all. It has Veronica Vaughn in it.
That's the direct-to-DVD one, I think, isn't it? Or something?
No, it actually came out in theaters. Mortal Kombat Annihilation, the sequel.
Oh, okay. Oh, I got you.
It was just really, really bad. The first movie's not good. It's not bad. It has a 3% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh boy.
And an 11 out of 100 on Metacritic, according to Wikipedia.
A big-time Mortal Kombat fan, I must say. I've never seen a Mortal Kombat movie.
The first one is a cheesy...
I don't know which one I saw.
The first one is a cheesy 90s movie.
The second one's this 2 years later.
Yeah. And it has a bunch of different actors in it. Raiden's cool in it. And... Shao Kahn is not that bad. Or not Shao Kahn, but is it Shao Kahn, the one who possesses people?
No. That's,
Shao Kahn is the Shredder guy.
That's...
does Jax have metal arms in both of them?
Shang Tsung. What'd you say, Mal? Sorry.
Does Jax have special or metal arms in both?
He does in the second one.
Okay,
he actually
that's the one
becomes
I've
Jax
seen.
Jax. In the first one, he's just Sonya's cop partner.
Then I've only seen
Before she goes to
Annihilation.
Outworld. I'm sorry.
I remember the metal arms. That's like the only thing I remember about that movie.
Yeah. The Scorpion fight is really cool in the first one. And it has good music. If you like 90s house techno stuff, I guess.
Let's see.
Yeah.
So
I'm looking down this list on Wikipedia, and like
the top 5 grossing video game movies, not adjusted for inflation, are Warcraft is number 1 with 433 million. Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, 336 million. Resident Evil: The Final Chapter, 312 million. Resident Evil Afterlife, 300 million, and Rampage at 286 million.
Interestingly, the next two are both Lara Croft Tomb Raider and Tomb Raider.
And Assassin's Creed after that, which I heard was god awful.
Ones. I have not seen the newer one.
I heard Assassin's Creed was miserable.
Yeah, I
saw the old one a long time ago, probably around the time it came out.
At least I think they're getting better at marketing them, if nothing else.
And I think they will get better eventually.
Like, because almost all of the newer, almost all of the top grossing ones are from this millennium.
Need for Speed is basically like one of the worst Fast and the Furious movies. So, it was not good.
But it still made 200 million.
Yeah, it still did a lot. It's a car movie. People are going to go see the cool cars.
With a 66 million budget is pretty decent.
It made money.
Yeah. So yeah, I think if nothing else, they're getting better at marketing them. And I mean, they are. I think they're actually getting better at making them, or maybe with Rampage. I mean, it's not what necessarily people might consider good, but or critically well, but it is getting better, I guess.
Yeah.
In that regards,
they're getting more money put into them and stuff.
Right. I think that's probably what it also comes down to.
Yeah.
Is regardless of how well they're received critically, if they can actually make money, show that they can make money.
Mm-hmm. And the most shocking movie on the list, the Far Cry movie, which I didn't even know existed, came out 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Only made $743,000.
Not good. Though, if they were to try and make one in the style of the new Far Cry ones, it might work out better.
It sounds like the new one would be a pretty successful movie if they tried to do it.
I mean, they actually did do a live action, I think, short films or something for it.
Oh, did
before
they?
the game takes place or something. Yeah. But and then I forgot. I was like, no what was it? No Battlefield, or no, not Battlefield. Battleship. But then I remember that's not a video game.
That's a board game. That's when they were coming out with board game movies.
Right.
Didn't they have another one?
I don't know.
Connect 4, the movie.
Rat Trap, done in the Saul style. Saul style movie.
Shoots and Ladders, the deadliest game.
They're about to come out with a tag, so I mean...
Wow.
Shoots and Ladders is not a game.
It's a way of life. It's a way of life, sir. Uno. We've already talked about Uno, the anime.
Candyland, also not a game. No choice.
It's a horror movie. No, we were talking about if we ever did what's your favorite anime based off a game. There's literally thousands of them probably because of all the gacha games.
I mean, I would love a Fire Emblem Heroes anime.
That would probably not be that bad. I'm surprised they haven't done any Fire Emblem anime, to be honest with you.
They started coming out with one-page
probably Nintendo's fault.
Well, Nintendo's getting in on that with Detective Pikachu, Mario, and Sonic game. Or no, Sonic's not Nintendo, but
they're Sega. But whatever. Yep, we're getting a new Mario movie. Sonic's getting the movie, and Detective Pikachu's coming out soon. And it's got freaking what's his name, Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, as the voice
of Detective Pikachu.
Going to be.
Which I heard that game actually was not bad at all.
Yeah, I've heard it's pretty good, actually.
I'm probably just going to watch a Let's Play of it eventually.
I don't want to spoil the movie, so
Mal cares more about the movie. What's it?
Looking forward to that I hope does good is Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah, I was surprised that was getting a movie, but I mean,
I saw
that'll
the
do
preview
very
for it.
well in Asia.
yeah.
Honestly, I saw the preview
Maybe.
for it, and
Is it a
as far as
Chinese
Wushu
movie?
movies go, from the preview, and as far as Wushu movies go, it's definitely up there. Like the production quality looks solid, spot on, and the fact that they're going to incorporate the Musou attacks from the game into the movie and make it like something that like these characters like have whatever they chi focusing blah 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 insert reason here, kind of has me excited, like in the Dynasty Warriors fan kind of way.
Yeah,
But
I mean, it's
I'm
not the kind of movie that would be well received over here.
No, not at all. And it's definitely one like you would watch it when you're on like a binge of watching like flicks, but I watch those a lot, so
Right? If you guys could have one game become a movie, which video game would it be? I think I'm going to say Bloodborne.
I was thinking that actually. I was like, how good would that be? But
I don't know how good it would be. That's the problem, yeah. But seeing all like the monsters and stuff on the screen could be really cool.
It could look cool, but the story is so abstract. I don't think I would want to see someone's take on it.
God of War might not be that bad, honestly.
The new one, I mean, it's practically like it's so cinematic.
I think they're making an Uncharted movie as well. So I mean, those are basically movies. Crash Bandicoot. That's the movie I want to see.
I mean, any movie or any like story-driven game could work, right? Like Mass Effect could work as a movie.
Yeah, I could see that
series or whatever. But
something BattleTech / Mech Warrior, like something placed during like the clan invasion or something.
New BattleTech game's out, isn't it?
Yep, that'll probably be what I talk about next week.
That's the tactics game, right? That you have the yeah, because the Mech Warrior Mercenaries, I don't think has a release date yet.
No, that's not. Yeah, that's not coming out yet.
Looking forward to. It has Malcolm Reynolds in it.
What would? Okay, if not Bloodborne, what would it be?
Yeah,
movie games that. Well, no, we said movies from games, not games from movies. Never mind.
Oh, that's a whole nother can of worms.
I've been playing through Mad Max, and the Mad Max game is really good. It is so good.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say it's underrated.
If you enjoy the Warner Brothers video game style, the Arkham games,
I've played
Shadow
it.
of Mordor,
it's fine. Like
that would probably not be a bad adaptation.
Probably the best. It's like the best movie or game that sort of comes from a movie, but that's only because it wasn't like tied to the movie schedule. Like it was developed as its actual game or whatever. Like a lot of how there's those awful games that are like with the movie or that have the movie story or whatever that always come out like right around the movie. They probably were developed in like a year's time or something just to capitalize on the movie.
We need a Star Fox movie. That's what we need.
We need a good Star Fox game in general because we haven't had one
in so long. Star Fox Zero was probably one of the worst. That's probably the most I've ever regretted buying a video game brand new. It was so bad. I know this is going off of topic a little bit, but one of the game genres that you just don't see much of anymore is the flight simulation game genre. I mean, you see like if Elite Dangerous came out recently, but I would love just where a game where you can pilot a ship in. I want one so bad. Rogue Squadron, man, those were good games. All right, I think we've about exhausted the video game movie topic. So, judging by us segueing to other stuff, so let's wrap it up here. This has been episode 50 of Podcast 5 Rings, your source of enlightenment in the realm of video games, tabletop, anime, film, and tech. Each episode of Podcast 5 Rings releases Monday mornings on iTunes and SoundCloud, and topic by topic, day by day on YouTube, with the full video releasing on Friday. Check us out on social media, Twitter, Podcast5R, Facebook, P5R Podcast. Many of them are streaming at twitch.tv/PSOFlow. We will stream again eventually. I swear. I promise. Sometime. Maybe God of War some this weekend. Maybe Mal can watch me fumble around in there or something.
Sure.
We'll see. So that's it. Twitch.tv/ podcast of Five Rings. So I'm going to go prepare my body for the Infinity War. I'm sleepy, I'm tired, but I'm ready to get hopped for this. 10 years in the making. And I'm sure we'll be talking about it next week. Trying not to spoil it for Meta and Tets.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. That might not be very it'll be like, because I heard a lot of people say you can't really talk about the movie that much without spoiling stuff.
That's what I figured.
So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But until next
we'll
week,
give it a few more weeks.
The Infinity Wars. Bye.
See you.